Ashton Danny Cup and Jamie Vanderweer. Your sentinel, Rexman Y, and your historian, Eliora Enriquez. Your reporter, Ivan Miller, and your treasurer, Kaden Silver. Your secretary, Brooklyn Stroll, and your vice president, CJ Van Hollen. And last, but certainly not least, your president, Gail Schulte, and your advisor, Mr. Rockhill.
Banquet Hall will now come to order. We are now holding the annual parent member banquet of the Central Line FFA chapter. Madam Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers and determine if they're at their station or report back to you, Mr. President. The sentinel.
Stationed by the door.
Your duties there.
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and the paraphernalia. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the president in maintaining order.
The historian. Stationed by the quill. Your duties there. Tradition and history are a source of pride for our organization. It is my duty to maintain a record of chapter achievements and promote excellence by highlighting chapter events, activities, and accomplishments so that our past members can look at future successes and achievements. The reporter.
Here by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform that every man, woman, and child may know that the FFA is a national organization that reaches from the state of Maine to Hawaii and Alaska to the Virgin Islands.
The treasurer.
Stationed by the emblem of Washington.
Your duties there.
I keep a record of all receipts and disbursements, just as Washington kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among the members and strive to build up our financial standings through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The secretary. Stationed by the ear of corn. Your duties there. I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet. The advisor.
Here by the owl.
Why by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I am asked to advise you from time to time as the day rises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripened with wisdom. Madam Vice President, why do you keep a plow at your station?
The plow is a symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist the president in the directing and work of our organization. I preside over the meeting in the absence of a president who is beneath the rising sun.
And why is the president so stationed?
The rising sun is a token of a new era in agriculture. If we follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Mr. President, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Secretary will now call the roll of members.
I am pleased to announce that we have 59 members and 144 guests present, Mr. President.
Thank you. FFA members, why are we here? To practice brotherhood,
honor, and agricultural opportunities,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2021-2022 Central Lyon FFA Banquet. On behalf of everyone in the Central Lyon FFA chapter, we would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight to help us celebrate a year of great accomplishments and successes.
Throughout the night, we will honor members for their hard work and dedication to our chapter. We will also be recognizing various people throughout the night for all of their support for our chapter throughout this year. Towards the end of the night, we will say farewell to the seniors and current FFA officers and induct the new 2022-2023 Central Lyon FFA officers.
I would now like to introduce the FFA members and their parents we have with us this evening. Cadence Boonder, daughter of Mark and Katie Boonder. Cameron Borman, son of Jade and Missy Borman. Maggie Buss, daughter of Kay Kroll. Colton Hood, son of Gerald and Alyssa Denhood. Ashley, Ellie, and Matthew Deering, daughters and son of Terry and Lisa Deering. Trevor Deering, son of Todd and Stacy Deering. Aiden Downer, son of Jeff and Cassie Downer. Matthew Elbert, son of Mike and Jen Elbert. Eliora Enriquez, daughter of Walter Enriquez and Christy Osmiro. Alexandra Flores, daughter of Eneida Retiga. Erica Floyd, daughter of Eric and Amy Floyd. Kenley Floyd, daughter of Kevin and Tina Floyd. Reed Folkens, son of Jeff and Jody Folkens. Keaton Funk, son of Ryan and Christy Funk. Maya Greasy, daughter of Dave and Amy Greasy. Macy Gubbins, daughter of Keith and Heidi Gubbins. Avery Harmon, daughter of Steve and Jessica Harmon. Dylan, Emily, and Ethan Harris, sons and daughter of Richard and Deb Harris. Reagan Hashi, son of Todd and Cindy Hashi. Eliana and Jonathan Haskell, son and daughter of Larry and Sheila Haskell. Lily Henry, daughter of Mark and Carol Henry. Thomas Herbert, son of TL and Rochelle Herbert. Jessica Hogendorn, daughter of Chad and Teresa Hogendorn. McKenna Hoyer, daughter of Kyle and Althea Hoyer. Maverick Horseman, son of Brian and Lindsay Horseman. Jason Huygens, son of Michael and Robin Huygens. Brooklyn Jansma, daughter of Chad and Connie Jansma. Brock and Michaela Claremby, son and daughter of Mike and Shannon Claremby. Landon Cook, son of Mark and Heidi Cook. Lincoln Cook, son of Matt and Jen Cook. Raylan Kruger, daughter of Rebecca Engler. Brooklyn Krall, daughter of Corey and Val Krall. Jade Cruz, daughter of Sam and Nicole Cruz. Olivia Lyman, daughter of Tim Lyman. Morgan Meyer, daughter of Sid and Tana Meyer. Kylie Miller, daughter of Ryan and Lisa Miller. Jacob Nagel, son of Travis and Carly Nagel. Jada Ordal, son of Zach and Sally Wiley. Ethan Peterson, son of Damon and Jen Peterson. Josina and Sophia Peterson, daughters of Tyler and Terry Peterson. Madeline Reedy, daughter of Albert and Tina Reedy. Kale and Gabe Schulte, sons of Nate and Amy Schulte. Jalen Stubbe, son of Wyatt and Heather Stubbe. Chase Stevens, son of Jason Stevens and Shannon Monson. Landon Thiessen, son of Troy and Allison Thiessen. Brooklyn and CJ Van Hollen, daughters of Jimmy and Melissa Hollen. Kaylee Van Tilburg, daughter of Julie Van Tilburg. Jamie Vanderberg, daughter of Tom and Jody Vanderberg. Ashton Vanderkamp, son of Bill and Kristen Vanderkamp. And Rex Van Wyk, son of Greg and Michelle Van Wyk. Please note, if you are a recipient of an award tonight, please find your correctly labeled spot in the high school gym for that awarded picture at the completion of tonight's banquet. Cadence Boonder will now read the recipients of this year's Academic Achievement Awards. We ask that for all awards this evening, you wait to applaud until everyone's name is called or is on stage to receive their award. Thank you.
Academic achievement is very important. To get recognized for this award, a student must have a 3.5 cumulative GPA or above. This year, we had 30 students who met this qualification. Please stand and remain standing when your name is called. Cameron Borman, Ellie Deeren, Emily Harris, Brooklyn Kroll, Kale Schulte, Rex Van Wy, Caden Spooner, Eliora Enriquez, Chase Edens, Landon Thiessen, Ashton Vandekop, Ashley Deeren, Henley Floyd, Reed Folkens, Keaton Funk, Lily Henry, Desta Hugedorn, Morgan Meyer, Ethan Peterson, Justina Peterson, Sophia Peterson, Madeline Reedy, Haley Van Tilburg, Matthew Albert, Alexandra Flores, Avery Harmon, Reagan Hashi, Eliana Haskell, Michaela Clarenbeek, and Lincoln Cook. Please give these recipients a round of applause. Eliora Enriquez will now present the Fruit Sales Award.
First off, I would like to thank everyone for supporting the Centraline FFA chapter during fruit sales this year. The fruit sales fundraiser is by far the biggest fundraiser we conduct every year. The money goes towards sending members to National FFA Convention, senior trips, and many other trips throughout the year. We had an amazing year for fruit sales, selling $64,000. We also had a remarkable year for individual sales. We will now be announcing this year's top 10 sellers. Please come up to receive your award when your name is called. 10. Maya Greasy. 9. Kylie Miller. 8. Brock and Michaela Clarenbeek. 7. Jade Cruz. 6. CJ and Brooklyn Van Holland. 5th. Desta Hugedorn. 4th. Lily Henry. 3rd. Maverick Horseman. 2nd. Jamie Vanderweer. And first is Karen Spooner. Karen Bowman and Lily Henry will now deliver the FFA Farm Report.
Every year the FFA tries to make some sort of improvement at the FFA farm. Our building is officially up and running, and we currently have 2 cows named Norbert and Sherbert. And this spring we welcomed 2 baby heifer calves, with one being born on February 14th and the other one born on April 1st. We currently have 3 bee colonies that produce 55 8-ounce bottles of honey that the FFA sold to put towards the bee project. This year, we were able to have several FFA members house the SE and fair projects at the farm. Ashton has his poultry project, and Anna and myself held their pig and sheep fair projects at the fair.
This past year, we received a $35,000 grant from the Lyon County Riverboat Foundation to help with some much-needed updates. The money went towards continuous fencing so that the livestock have an area to graze. We paid for spray foam that insulated the building. We purchased a camera system in which we were able to keep an eye on the herds during calving season. We bought a lawnmower, which was very helpful this past year with the addition of pasture. We bought a new bulk bin, a new farm sign, and many much-needed tools to help make the farm more operable. We will now have Lisa Miller come up and give a few words about the Friends of the FFA.
On behalf of the Friends of the FFA. It's really nice, Rockhill type everything. Oh my gosh. We would like to welcome you again to the FFA Banquet this evening. Can we have all members of the FFA please stand up? As you can tell from the program, the chapter has been extremely active in many events. With these events comes a lot of work and dedication by Mr. Rockwell and also community members to help these students be successful. With that being said, this is why the organization was created. We are a group of adults, community members, and supporters of the FFA program in our school. As many of you know, the FFA is an organization that helps students gain knowledge not only in the agriculture industry, but also teaches them public speaking, parliamentary procedure, and many employability skills that they need for the future. The overall goal of the Friends of the FFA is to provide support for the program, but also to provide opportunity for the students within. This year, we are going on our 5th year of providing scholarship funds to go to seniors who have been involved in many aspects of the program and other qualifications outlined by the scholarship committee. If you're interested in joining and supporting the agriculture FFA program here at Central Lyon, please feel free to speak to any one of us that you suggested any. And dues are only $50 and they're all tax deductible. You also don't have to be a formal FFA member to be involved in this organization, as I was not. You simply just have to have a vision to help benefit the students in these blue or red jackets. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. It has been a busy year for our FFA chapter. I would now like to recognize individuals and businesses who have rendered outstanding service to our FFA program this year with the FFA Chapter Appreciation Award. Without you, the program would not have been able to be as successful as it has been. It is with your help we continue to grow and develop to next year's leaders. If you are here tonight, please stand if your name is called. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Katie Boonder, Mark Boonder, Reese Borman, Todd Deering, Kevin Floyd, Janet Frederickson, Amy Creasy, Dave Creasy, Ina Fay, Teresa Hogadorn, Lisa Miller, Ryan Miller, Shannon Monson, Christy Osmira, Damon Peterson, Dwayne Postman, Lisa Rockwell, Troy Thiessen, Heidi Vandekop, Kristen Vandekop, Todd Vandekop, Jody Vanderbeek, and Zach Weedland. Thank you all for your help throughout the past year. We will now have Jamie Vanderbeek introduce our keynote speaker for this evening.
Our speaker this evening is originally from the small town of Sheldon in central Iowa. She's currently a junior at Lincoln University studying law, communications, and education. After growing up raising poultry and bees in her backyard, she developed a passion for agriculture industry that led her to serve as the 2019-2020 Iowa FFA State Reporter, intern at the World Food Prize Foundation, and most recently worked at the Iowa Select Farms. Throughout all of her different experiences, she has always considered herself a storyteller. And tonight, she hopes to share just how important stories are to navigating life. Please help me welcome to the podium tonight's keynote speaker, Grace Long.
All right. I'd like to start off my remarks tonight by simply saying thank you. My first big thank you goes out to Mr. Rockhill and all of the members of the Central Lyon FFA chapter. Thanks not only for inviting me here tonight, it was a 4-hour and 15-minute drive, so I'm really thankful to be up here seeing all the amazing things you're doing. But thank you for all the hard work and dedication each and every one of you who's put in to make this event possible. During my time as a state officer, I had the opportunity to attend a lot of chapter banquets, and I have to say, you guys have impressed me. I've been blown away by all the hard work, the organization, and the professionalism you've shown, so thank you for all of that. I'd also like to take a second to thank all of the community members in the audience. Whether you're a parent, a supporter, or just involved with the FFA chapter in some capacity, thank you for all that you're doing to support these students. without your help and guidance, the amazing things they're doing here just wouldn't be possible. And my last thank you goes out to Jamie, actually. I had the honor of meeting Jamie about a year ago now when she was serving state FFA by helping select the next team of Iowa State officers. I was working on convention staff, and because of that, Jamie and I worked quite closely together for a little bit. So it was nice while preparing for this speech to be able to work closely with her again, particularly developing that introduction she just read and delivered so kindly. But Jamie, while I say thank you to you, I also have to apologize a little bit. Because while I was driving up here, I thought of something I wish I would have included in that introduction that I didn't, so I'm going to slide it in here real quick. And, you know, this is something that a lot of people know about me, but you guys seem like a good group. I feel like I can trust you. So I'm going to just put it out there. And that's the fact that I'm kind of a published author. I've been a reader my whole life. I've always loved books and stories, so it's always been a goal of mine to publish a book. And when I had the opportunity to do that, it was something I was really proud of. So I wanted to share that with you all tonight. Yes, so I maybe fibbed a little bit on the publication part, but when I was 7 years old and wrote Endangered Animals, I could not have been more proud of myself. You see, like I said, I grew up reading stories, and I decided it was finally time to tell my own story. And, you know, I was proud of it at the time, but looking back, you know, it's pretty laughable. Especially this page about giant pinatas. So there's some pretty great laughable moments, and it didn't stop there, folks, let me tell you. At age 8, I went on to write the sequel, Dinosaur Lane. This time, though, we leveled up to real photography. We had some film and disposable camera photos in there, and my typing skills had improved, so I could type in all capital letter sentences like, "Do not go digging around in your yard," with 8 exclamation points. While I laugh and make fun of my younger self for publishing these wacky books, this marked the first time that I really saw myself as a storyteller. And that's become a huge part of my identity and who I am today with all of the experiences I've had. But I think, you know, as silly as my 7-year-old self was with these, I did have a little something going for me. As I was flipping back through these books to prepare to give this speech, I found this note from the writer page I included in my first book, and I'll call your attention to that first sentence. And because of my awful 7th grade handwriting and spelling, I'll read it too, don't worry. It says, "Why I wrote this book is I want other kids to look at the world like I do." Now, at 7 years old, that was probably a pretty high ask, but it really confirmed for me that I've always been a storyteller. I've always been someone who sees the world around me through the stories I've experienced and the stories other people have experienced. And although I may have grown out of publishing these very silly books, I haven't grown out of storytelling. That was really evident when I started high school and joined my local FFA chapter. The first time I really started telling stories again was when I started my supervised agricultural experience project. It was a beekeeping business, and although I know there's some people in this room that can be excluded from this list because you have an amazing beekeeping program here at Central Lyon, most people don't know too much about bees. So when I started this project, a big part of what I did was advocating for pollinators and bees and telling their story. I didn't stop there though. I eventually served as the Iowa Poultry Queen, where I traveled the state meeting with exhibitors, students, industry stakeholders, and consumers to talk about this industry that is so important here in Iowa. Again, telling the story of an agriculture industry that meant so much to me. That brings me to my next experience, which is probably most relevant in this room. I had the opportunity to serve as a state officer for the FFA, where again, I traveled the state representing members from all of our great chapters. Something that was particularly special I did during my time as a state officer was something called a media visit. I traveled around to 15 special chapters, and in addition to the normal state officer things that happen, facilitating activities and learning about leadership, I also interviewed students at these chapters about their supervised agricultural experiences or their FFA advisor, different things happening at their ag program, and put these interviews together into spotlight videos for each chapter. P.S. I did one on Central Lyon, and it's one of my favorites. You have some amazing students here. but we use those at the state level to tell the story of agriculture education that is so important, especially now. More recently, I've continued storytelling through my photography business. I've had it since I was a freshman in high school, and this allows me to tell stories in a visual way. Currently, I am a junior at Drake University, and one of the things I'm involved with on campus is being the editor for a student publication that allows students from all backgrounds to write and share stories on political topics, which is really important at a place like a college campus. And finally, probably the story I'm most proud to share right now is my work at Iowa Select. I'm on the communications team, so I travel the state visiting all of our pork production farms. I interview producers, photograph them, and then share their stories with our stakeholders. Now, I don't share this laundry list of things I've been involved in to brag or to make it seem like a resume. Why I share these different experiences is because they all share that common thread of storytelling. And I think it's important to recognize that because a lot of people have two conceptions of storytelling. One, sitting around the campfire, telling spooky stories, and camping with your family. Or two, they go back to elementary school and think about when they were at story time with their teachers sitting on the little carpet squares and reading picture books. And while this can be what storytelling is, if my experiences have taught me anything, it's that storytelling is so much more. In fact, in my opinion, stories are essential to how we navigate life. Even if you're not as connected to storytelling as I am, each and every one of you sitting out there has a story. That story and where you came from impacts who you are and how you respond to things, how you make decisions and navigate life. So today, I thought we could talk about a couple different things. First, your personal story and how your background and where you came from has changed who you are now. Then we'll kind of talk about other people's stories and how those get added to the equation and have just as much influence as your own story. Finally, we'll put those two together and talk about how we can be better about creating good stories. So all that being said, let's jump right in and talk about your personal story. As for my story, you pretty much got the lowdown on that when I talked about all of my experiences. But let's rewind a little bit and look at who I was right after I graduated high school and before I started college. I was a small town Iowa kid. I grew up in a rural town of about 200 people and graduated from a very small high school, not unlike Central Lyon. And I loved agriculture. That was who I was after graduation. And then I got dropped into the very interesting campus of Drake University in Des Moines. And I won't lie, I struggled a bit in my first semester, going from my small town of 200 people to Drake's campus in Des Moines, which felt like the biggest city I had ever been in, was a huge change. But the environment wasn't the only change I faced. Another big thing that was different were the people I was going to school with. You see, even though Des Moines seemed like the biggest city imaginable to me, someone who hadn't even seen the ocean or traveled outside the state before, my classmates, many of them came from huge cities like Chicago, Minneapolis, even New York or Los Angeles, or at least the suburbs of those cities. They thought Des Moines was small and had a very different perspective than I did. But my classmates and I weren't only different geographically, I quickly found out that we had fundamentally different experiences growing up. And no time was this more clear than the first day of college orientation. Now, for any of the adults in the room that have been to a college orientation, I'm sure you can agree with me on this, they include lots of very awkward icebreakers. Everybody needs to get to know each other. And my orientation was no different. One of the icebreakers we did involved all 20 kids in my group standing in a circle, and there was one kid in the middle. All the kids on the outside of the circle took off their shoes and stood behind them. The shoes were marking their spot. And then the person in the middle, they kept their shoes on and had to say something about themselves. Maybe, I'm wearing a blue shirt, or I like dogs. If you agreed with that statement, you had to run into the circle and find a new pair of shoes to stand in front of. But because that person in the middle of the circle never took off their shoes, we were always one spot short. So you didn't want to be the last person in the middle because that meant you had to talk and share another fact about yourself, and the whole process started over again. Now, I had done this icebreaker before, so I wasn't really fazed, and I stepped out of my cowboy boots that I had worn pretty much every day since middle school. You guys are catching me on a good night, because I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10 I'm wearing these cowboy boots. But I stepped out of my cowboy boots and quickly realized everyone was kind of staring at me. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out why. And then I did a quick scan of all the other shoes in the circle. Yeah. There were tennis shoes, Converse, some Birkenstocks, flip-flops. But then you got to my shoes, and they were a solid 5 to 6 inches taller than everyone else's. The only pair of cowboy boots in the circle. And that was just something I had not at all expected. This physical representation that, hey, this girl's different. This girl is not like the rest of us. So as soon as we got done with that portion of orientation, I went back to my dorm, I called one of my friends from back home, and told her all about what had happened. And the first question she asked me was, well, are you gonna wear different shoes next time? And I was shocked by that because I'd never considered not wearing my cowboy boots. I'd done it every day before, and I figured I'd just kind of keep doing it every day in the future. Because those were a physical representation of who I was in rural Iowa where I came from. So I'm proud to say I do continue to wear my cowboy boots around campus, even as a junior. And now that I'm a little more established at Drake, they've kind of become my calling card. A lot of people know me as the ad girl, and I get a lot of questions about my bees and pigs. But that's because I very deliberately chose to represent my story. And even though it made me different, even though sometimes it is difficult, that has been so beneficial that I've chosen to continue to represent who I am and where I came from. Now, like I said, it has been difficult. A few examples I'll give you. This fall, I was talking with my roommates about how excited I was for harvest, to see the combines coming out again. Only to learn they had no idea what a combine was. Couldn't pick it out of the lineup. Or just last week, I was in class talking about a recent Supreme Court case dealing with the pork industry. And I used the word sow a couple times, because, you know, talking about the pork industry. And my professor stopped me and said, Grace, you're talking about a trial that involves pork and pigs. Why do you keep saying sow? Isn't that a female cow? A conversation I never thought I'd have with someone who has a doctorate. And perhaps my favorite example, my statistics professor, he is a genius. I don't know how he does it, math is not my thing. One day tried to tell my entire class that farmers calculate corn yield in their fields by counting every individual ear of corn in the entire field. So these situations have been frustrating. They have challenged me in sticking to talking about my background and where I come from. But I've used those as an opportunity not to get frustrated because people don't understand, but to teach others about my story because I have that opportunity to share with something they've never experienced. And although all of you might not have agriculture as that's a central part of your story as I do, agriculture serves as a great example because many people are very disconnected. Most people haven't even stepped foot on a farm. But you are the experts on your own story. You are the only one that has lived the experience you have. So just like I'm one of the only people on campus who knows about agriculture, you are the only one that has your perspective. And that means that your story matters, but it also means you have a huge responsibility to share that. So I encourage you to think, how are you representing your story? How are you sharing your perspective with everyone around you? Now, as you think about that, we're going to kind of hop over to our next big point, considering the stories other people have. And to do this, we're going to think back to my introduction with those wacky books, and circle back to something I kind of glossed over at the time. But when I think about why I wrote these books, it's because I was obsessed with reading. My parents read to me pretty much from the time I was a baby. And then when I was in preschool, I started reading books on my own and pretty much never went back. I read inside, outside, at school, in the car. As you can see from these pictures, I even read in trees. But reading was a central part of how I saw the world. I was gathering the stories of all of these authors, seeing all of these different perspectives, and then I was able to be an effective storyteller because I had listened and gathered all those different perspectives. Because here's the thing. We can tell our personal stories to people all day. You can have the most well-represented personal story, but if people aren't listening to your story, it's going to be trapped in a bubble. If you can't connect with people and get them to listen to what you're saying, that's where you have issues. And our stories get meaning and they have an impact when other people truly listen and learn from them. So, never have I more understood this concept of listening and learning to other people's stories than in this past semester. One of the things I'm studying at Drake is education. In my time at FFA, realized I am extremely passionate about agriculture education, and although I might not be a teacher someday, I really want to support ag education in any way I can. So, part of Drake's teacher education program is something called a teaching practicum. And you can think of that kind of like student teaching. As a student teacher, I go into a classroom and observe the real teacher and their students teaching. And at Drake, you get to choose what classroom you go to. So I, of course, asked to be placed in an ag ed classroom. That's my background, that's what I know, that's what I understand. And something happened along the way in Drake, because this is a pretty unusual request, where they changed the word agriculture to aquaculture. So instead of being placed in an ag ed classroom, I was put in a classroom that I lovingly refer to as fish school. So aquaculture is the cultivation of fish and other marine mammals. And so the classroom I'm in is at Des Moines Central Campus, and the students there have a lab. So it's much like an agriculture education classroom, and the farm that you all have here, you get to work with livestock, you get to work with hands-on learning. But instead of agriculture, it's fish. So I help them feed their clownfish. Our seahorses just had babies last week. We have a very interesting classroom. But I walked into this classroom, do you think I knew anything about fish? The only thing I knew about fish was how to go fishing and how to eat the fish, which my students were not impressed with. So I have had to completely look at my role as a student teacher completely differently in this scenario. These students know much more than I do about this content and the fish. So I have to be willing to listen to their stories and learn from them. Even though I'm in the student teacher position, I have to open myself up. So every day that I go into this classroom, I challenge myself to do that. What's happened? My perspective on teaching has been completely changed. These students have not only taught me about their fish and their projects, but being very urban students that go to school in Des Moines, and most of them have never left Des Moines school system in their lives, have a completely different perspective on life. Their stories couldn't be more different from mine, yet every day I go into that classroom, I can learn something because I choose to listen, even though I'm in that teacher role. So, you can learn something from everyone. I've lived that. How do you listen to other stories in an attempt to do that? And this brings us to our last big idea, our last main point, creating stories. How can we take our personal stories and the stories we've seen from other people to create better stories? And creating stories is something that you do every day. Each of you are creating your own personal story right now. Every decision you make, no matter how big, no matter how small, is one more step in building that story. So that being said, I'd like everybody to take a moment, think of someone in your life that has positively impacted how you create stories. It could be a teacher, a friend, a parent, anyone in your life that's positively impacted you. And when you have that person in your mind, just go ahead and raise your hand. You won't have to talk, I promise. All right. You have that person locked in, just raise your hand. So I saw hands went up pretty quickly. It seemed to be pretty easy for us to think about people that have positively impacted our stories. And I'd be willing to bet, if I asked you to do the opposite, think of people or situations that have negatively impacted your stories, it would be just as easy for you to raise your hand, if not easier. I know that because I've lived it. My freshman year of high school, my chapter was only in its second year of existence. My chapter is a very new chapter. And I was elated to be selected as our creed speaker. Now, because we were such a new chapter, my advisor thought it would be a great idea to host an FFA Week assembly for National FFA Week to give the other students in the school a chance to see what FFA was all about. And she told me it was non-negotiable I would be giving the creed at this assembly. But I was excited. I thought that this was the best thing ever. I would be able to share with the rest of the students my love for FFA and Ag. So I walked up to that podium as confidently as I could, and I started to say the FFA creed. I believe in the future of agriculture. It wasn't until I got to the second paragraph that I looked up at the crowd and realized there were maybe 4 people paying attention to me. All the rest of the student body were on their cell phones, talking to friends, doing last-minute homework. But I kept going. I thought, this is all in my head. People are listening. Until my high school's principal, who had been standing at the side of the gym, slowly walked over to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and told me to take pause on the creed. And we waited in silence until everyone in that gym's eyes was on me as a freshman. So I finished giving the creed, went back and sat down in my seat, and I will never forget that feeling. The feeling of no one listening to my story, feeling like my story didn't matter. And I'm a big believer in this idea. The idea that people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you do, but they will never forget how you make them feel. That incident with the assembly and the creed happened 7 years ago. But I can still vividly remember that feeling I had when I went back down and sat in my seat. So the fact that I'm talking to all of you about it. For my classmates that were sitting in the bleachers, I'm sure if you hunted them down and asked them if they remember this particular assembly, their answer would be no. They were creating stories and making decisions that to them were pretty insignificant. But to me, those small decisions that seemed small to them had a huge impact on me. And I'll never forget how the way they created their stories that day made me feel. So I challenge you all to think about the small decisions, or the big ones, that you're making on a daily basis that create your story. How are those stories making people feel? So I decided after this happened that I really had 2 choices. I could be frustrated, I could be upset that people weren't listening to my story, or I could try to make a positive change and tell stories in my school in a positive way. And that is where this little project was born. If any of you have ever heard of the Humans of New York project, it's based on that. But this is a multimedia project that a photographer in New York started. He went around with his camera on the streets of New York and took pictures of people in their everyday natural habitat. And New York's a very interesting place, so he had some very interesting characters. He took their portrait, he wrote down a little bit of their story, and later he would post it on his social media accounts. Became kind of like an art project for him. So I discovered this project and thought, hey, we can do this in my high school. And that's where Humans of Ballard, the name of my high school, was born. So for 2 years, one of my classmates and I interviewed one person in our school district every week that we felt needed to have their story told but wasn't getting the recognition they deserved. So one week we talked to one of our lunch ladies. Another week we talked to someone who did competitive motocross and was actually really good, but I'd had no idea even though I'd known him for 10 years. Stories like these that often get overlooked or just aren't heard on a regular basis were posted to our 2 social media accounts for the entire community to see on a weekly basis. And the response was overwhelmingly positive. First of all, the people that we were interviewing, the people whose pictures you're seeing up here, it was so amazing to get to see them share their stories. They were so passionate about the things that they were doing and the things they were telling us about. It was so uplifting. But the community had an amazing response. By giving them the platform to see other people's stories and learn more about them, they were much more willing to listen and learn from those other people that they might have ignored before. So if this project and my entire life experience as a self-proclaimed storyteller has taught me anything, it's that everyone has a story that changes how they navigate life. Everyone sitting around you in these seats has a story that's just as complex as yours, even if it might not seem like it sometimes. And because these stories change how we navigate life, It's so essential that we figure out how to represent our own stories and listen to the stories of others. That is what allows us to be storytellers and even better, story creators. So how are you working to impact your story and the stories around you? Now I know we've covered a lot of ground here tonight. You've all been so patient. But if I can leave you with just a few things, if you only remember a few things from this speech, let it be this. 1, please tell your story. Your story matters. 2, listen to the stories of the people around you, because those matter too. And when you've done both of those things, go out and create some good stories. Thank you all for having me. Just kind of keep that.
On behalf of the Central Line FFA chapter, it is a great privilege to have had you here tonight. We thank you for coming and speaking at our banquet. Please accept this certificate as a token of our appreciation. CJ Van Hollen will now present the Green Hand Degree recipients for the 2021-2022 school year.
Mr. President, I have applications for 18 students enrolled in the agriculture education, agri-science, agribusiness, and horticulture, who are candidates for the Green Hand FFA degree. The Green Hand is the first of 5 degrees that can be bestowed upon an FFA member. Our Constitution outlines minimum qualifications for this degree. We shall now determine if these candidates qualify. Mr. Advisor, do all candidates have satisfactory plans for programs of supervised agricultural experience?
They do.
Candidates, when your name is called, please stand or remain standing so you can be recognized. Cole Denhood. Aiden Downer. Matthew Elbert. Alexandra Flores. Erica Floyd. Avery Harmon. Dylan Harris. Reagan Hashey. Eliana Haspels. Thomas Herbert. Maverick Horseman. Jason Huygens, Michaela Clarenbeek, Landon Cook, Lincoln Cook, Jay Cruz, Jacob Nagel, Jalen Stubbe, and Brooklyn Van Hollen. Congratulations to this year's Green Hand recipients. Will now present the 2021-2022 Central Line FFA Chapter Degree recipients.
Mr. President, it is my privilege to announce that these members are candidates for the Chapter FFA degree. This is the highest degree a chapter can bestow on its members. It is usually awarded during the 2nd or 3rd year of membership. Our Constitution sets up minimum qualifications which must be met before members advance to a higher degree. Mr. Advisor, have all candidates met or exceeded these standards?
They have.
Candidates, when your name is called, please stand and remain standing so you can be recognized. Maggie Buss, Ashley Deere, Matthew Deere, Trevor Deere, Kenley Floyd, Reed Fulkins, Keaton Fong, Macy Govins, Jonathan Haskins, Lily Henry, Desta Hugador, Morgan Meyer, Jada Ordala, Ethan Peterson, Josina Peterson, Sophia Peterson, Maddie Reedy, Gabe Schulte, Kaylee Ventilberg, Peyton Vogel. Congrats to this year's chapter degree recipients. Mr. Rocco will now present the results of this year's career development events.
FFA Career Development Events, or CDEs, are contests that members can compete in that test their agriculture educational instruction. There are various career development events that participants can compete in, but some are only completed at certain levels, certain states, districts, areas, and federations. This year at Central Iron, we had the privilege to host the sub-district contest that was held on February 28th, and I want to say a special thank you to all of those individuals that helped with that contest. It ran extremely smooth, and I couldn't have done it without you guys there. And then after that, we traveled to Pocahontas for our district contest on March 5th. This year, I'm extremely pleased, I guess, to announce that this year we had 62 FFA members compete in a career development event of some sort. Some are going to be competing next week at state convention. So those individuals, can we give them a round of applause? So career development events take a lot of time and practice throughout the week to help these kids prepare for these contests. And I also just want to thank any individual that assisted me with preparing the kids for their contests this year. If you could please have your attention to the screens, and we will have the results of the career development events. So again, congratulations to all of this year's career development event participants. Next, we will announce the this year's SEE awards. There are 4 different types of proficiency awards an FFA member can compete in placement, entrepreneurship, combined, and also in research. Students can compete in awards in almost 50 different areas, covering agricultural communications to wildlife management. I would like to send another thank you to those community members and parents that assisted with the chapter proficiency judging that night. We've had, once again, a lot of successes this year, and those successes would not have been possible without your guys' volunteering and helping us judge those. So if you helped with those, can we give those individuals a round of applause? And we will have the results for those proficiencies up on the screens.
We want to give a special recognition to the few individuals who were and will be recognized last October at the National FFA Convention and Expo at next week's State FFA Conference on Monday and Tuesday. First off, we want to congratulate Dana Cruz and Elizabeth Heiser for receiving the Notable American degree. These individuals have joined Reese Borman and Devin Miller as part of our 1% of FFA members to receive this accolade. For our state convention award, receiving second with their SAE project, Kylie Miller in the area of agriculture communications, Lily Henry in the area of equine science entrepreneurship, Emily Harris in the area of outdoor recreation, and Keaton Funk in the area of swine production placement. We will have 11 members of our chapter receiving their state degrees: Brooklyn Jansma, Brooklyn Kroll, CJ Van Hollen, Kale Schulte, Cameron Borman, Ellie Deeren, Emily Harris, Jamie Vanderweerd, Kylie Miller, Rex Van Wy, and Candace Boonder. Along with these awards, we will be very active at the state convention this year. The following students have been selected to participate in these different events. Will the following students please stand when your name is called? State delegate participants, Chase Stevens and Olivia Lyman. Poultry evaluation participants, Lily Henry, Morgan Meyer, Destiny McGorn, Jake Nagel. Farm business manager quiz, Kale Schulte, Ethan Peterson, Cam Borman, Trevor Deering. Ag biotech, Reed Folkens, Maggie Buss, Brock Larenby, Ashton Vandekop. Green hand quiz participants, Eliana Haskels, Brooklyn Van Hollen. Iowa FFA State Officer candidate, Jamie Vanderweer. Program of Activities Committee, Cadence Boonder. Chapter display, Maddie Reeby, Jada Ordal, Haley Van Tilburg, and Macy Evans. Let's give these individuals a round of applause.
The officers will now present to you the 2021-2022 honorary chapter degree members.
It is always a pleasure to receive honorary members into the National FFA organization. For it is our intent and purpose to recognize them from time to time, the efforts of adults on our behalf. Madam Secretary, please read the section of the National Constitution which provides for honorary membership.
Honorary membership is farmers, school superintendents, principals, members in agriculture education, businessmen, and others who are helping to advance agriculture education in the FFA, and who have rendered outstanding service may be elected to honorary membership.
Mr. Rocco, will you please read the names of the persons who are to receive this award?
Each year, the Central Line FFA awards the honorary chapter degree to deserving members of our community. We want to thank all of the honorary degree recipients from past years and continue to lean on them in support and guidance to help better the chapter. If you're an honorary degree recipient in the audience tonight, can you please stand? Let's give these individuals a round of applause. Without your hard work and support for the FFA chapter, we would not be able to be where we are at today. Thank you for ensuring the promise of the FFA and the future of agriculture for students here at the Central Lyon Community School District. I am honored to read the following names for the 2021-2022 Central Lyon FFA honorary degree recipients. Zach Weiland, CFE. And unable to be here with us this evening is Denise Snyders, Central Lyon employee. Zach, can you please come up and receive your award?
It is the choice of the chapter to honor them as honorary members to represent the support of all our FFA members. The support of the Central Lyon Agriculture Education Program makes being an FFA member possible. We extend our thanks to them and to all our teachers and parents for volunteering, providing financial support and encouragement as we participate in FFA. Thank you.
I welcome you as friends of the FFA. It is my privilege as Sentinel to extend to each of you the symbolic hand clasps of friendship and brotherhood.
As a reporter, I am pleased to inform you that the FFA is a national youth organization whose purpose is to develop agricultural leaders. Welcome to the membership.
Your contribution as a useful citizen in our democracy serves as an example for members to follow. As treasurer, I welcome you to our organization.
The FFA needs counsel and guidance from recognized leaders. It is my pleasure as secretary to add your names to our roll of honorary members. As vice president, I welcome you to the FFA. I would inform you that our members learn to appreciate the dignity of labor. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much.
On behalf of every member, I would like to say we are proud to have you as an honorary member. May this affiliation prove valuable to all. I impress upon you that we look to you for counsel and guidance. It is because of the great respect we have for you that you have been elected to honorary membership. May we always cooperate for the benefit of all. I now confer upon you honorary membership in the Central Line FFA chapter and present to you this token of membership. Mr. Rockhill will now present the outstanding FFA member awards.
So I'm going to ask that all the seniors of the class of 22 please join me at the front of the stage. So it is an honor to introduce to you tonight the Outstanding Senior Awards. This award is presented to the members, or to a member or members who have demonstrated outstanding service to the FFA and agricultural education program. This year's recipients have participated in several events such as National FFA Week, Homecoming Supper, Fair Cleanup, Career Development events, and have had satisfactory supervised agricultural experience projects. This year's individuals have gone the extra mile and have shown individual achievements throughout the years of FFA, dedicated time to developing new FFA activities and projects, and have a satisfactory scholastic record. These recipients have shown tremendous leadership skills and are very hardworking individuals and go above and beyond to make sure that the FFA is successful. This year's Outstanding Seniors Senior Award goes to Brooklyn Jansma, Brooklyn Kroll, CJ Van Holland, Kale Schulte, Cameron Foreman, Ellie Deeren, Emily Harris, Ethan Harris, Jamie Vanderweerd, Kylie Miller, Raylan Kruger, and Rex Van Wan. This group of seniors has done an outstanding job since they entered the program since day one. I've truly enjoyed being able to make so many great memories with these outstanding individuals, and they have achieved so many great things within our program. I am excited to see what the future holds for all of you. Thank you for your dedication. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun too. I get to introduce the retiring officers for this year. Hale. So they did know that they were going to be introduced by an image to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So every officer gets to have a gift that will show up on stage, and this one I selected for Kale. Kale, you have just a little bit of crazy, interesting moments, and you have all of these things encompassed into most of our events. He just has a way of bringing a little bit of light and lightheartedness to the team and to the program. Thank you, Kale, for your years of service. Showing pretty much just how she is feeling in one simple facial expression. CJ, you are a doer, and your great work ethic has shown through and through in many activities that you have participated in within the FFA. Thank you for your year of service. Brooklyn. You simply know how to lighten the room with your goofy personality and charisma towards everything. It has been so enjoyable to be your teacher and your advisor over the last 4 years. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. So, some of the officers know, but each year the treasurer has a major duty within the FFA, and I'd say that Cadence did a dab on it kind of job. Your drive and passion truly shines with every task that you have at hand. I'm excited to see your passion continue showing through your next year as Northwest District Treasurer. Kyle. Kylie, you've had so many successes within the Central Line FFA over the years and throughout the FFA organization. I'm so happy to be able to be a part of that journey and to see you grow and prosper within the program. Thank you for your years of service. Elio. Next. So finesse is something that can't be taught. Eleanor, you always have taken jobs and have done them well with such a creative spirit, and I cannot wait to see what this year has for you as the Northwest District Reporter. Thank you, Eleanor. How are you, Rex? Okay, so the one on the team that never really gets worked up, never panics, and you are always keeping the team as an even keel. You are always willing to complete whatever task that is asked of you, and you always know how to keep things moving smooth. Thank you for your years. Jamie, your ability to be you and stay true to your goals is something that I admire most about you. You strive to be you and own it every day. Always own it and keep striving for success. Thank you. Ash. I'll give you a second. All right, so Ashton is really easygoing and keeps calm in many situations. You always go with the flow and always pick up all the loose ends. If anyone knows Ashton, he definitely fits this gift fairly accurately, as I often view Ashton as kind of the one that sits back and just kind of watches everything happen and eats the popcorn while we go forward. So thank you, Ashton, for your years. Come on, Pam. Cameron, to say that there is a little bit of stress in my life some days would kind of be an understatement, I would know. However, that stress also comes with a lot of enjoyment, knowing that you have handled a lot of tasks at the FFA farm with greatness, and I appreciate your work ethic at the FFA farm and as an officer. Thank you. Lily. Lily, you really are one of a kind. Really. That is Lily's favorite line to me. It's really Mr. Rockwell. So your dedication to the program has really shown your work ethic for this last year at the FFA farm. Your creativity was a great addition to this year's officer team, and I cannot wait to see you in another year's service. Thank you, Lily.
In case anybody's confused, seniors take
taken over the show for a little bit. Everybody has that little memory with Rocky we just wanted to share with everyone, just to give it a little bit of a laugh.
Alright, so some people may be confused by this gift, but for the headaches and the stress like that, you're here for the rest of the night if you can get to it. Don't take them all. But I expect before I graduate to be added by Stonepile on Snapchat, and I expect to be able to call you Rockfish.
Oh, Mr. Rockhill, what do I have to say, Rocky? Thank you for being the best FFA advisor and egg teacher around. Just to say a little thank you, I got you some stuff to remind you of me. In this bag, I have a package of sticky notes to replenish some of your stash that I have used to write you notes to remind you of something, so I didn't forget over the past 4 years. There is also a new cup from Rapid Nutrition for all the rapid runs I have made for you this year. Also, thanks for getting me hooked on that place. I also made a few stress balls for you due to the amount of stress that we all, I mean myself with the procrastination, sometimes we give you. Feel free to throw one at me sometime because I more than likely deserve it. Then last but not least, there's a box of crayons. Even though I still don't think I did it, I will say I did it just this once. Sorry for coloring on the chair at Moon Creek, so you had to scrub it off. Once again, thanks for being your best advisor and teacher around. All of us seniors appreciate you so much, even though we don't always show it. We may be heading off to college, but don't think you can get rid of us that easily either. We will always be here just to push your buttons every once in a while, because that's just what we do best.
I brought a little hair gel because I'll always remember Rockhill by his faux hawk. Thanks for everything, Rockhill.
I have honey, and I know it's kind of weird, but I'll explain. It all started when I had to practice my first district officer speech. Rocco told me I had to grab a microphone, and the honey was the first thing I saw. I used this honey to practice up until the day of districts. I even brought it to district convention. This became my good luck charm. And I've held it on for this moment specifically because I knew he'd need some good luck in the future. So, here's some good luck.
So, I learned the hard way that Rocky likes to prank people, specifically me. It started my freshman year when Rocky knew I loved babies, so he thought of the clever idea to tell me that he was expecting on April Fool's Day. Good one. Fast forward to my junior year, April Fool's Day, when he told me that our Krispy Kreme rep messed up our whole order, and he creatively assigned me the pleasure of calling her to let her know that she messed up badly. So I did just that, just to find out that I was talking to Mrs. Snyder's right across the hall. Thank you. So here's my empty box of Krispy Kreme.
So, last year at state convention, I got thrown into doing team egg sales, which didn't go well at all. But a great memory is I got a 4 out of 150 on both the test and the presentation. So it's just a good old laugh between me and Rocco all the time.
Is right what I said. Right before Rockhill walked through the hallway at Moon Creek as a lick tub was falling from the ceiling. Because I thought it was a good idea to toss it up there instead of walking 20 feet to go up a ladder. It's just one thing that Rock Hill's had to put up with me for the last 4 years, and I'm just so thankful for it. Thank you, Rock Hill.
All of the seniors wanted to give you this gift for all the things you have done for us. Thank you for teaching us so much about FFA. You have made an impact on each of us. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, guys. So now we will induct the 2022-2023 FFA officer team. Can all 11 candidates please meet at the stage?
Farm Manager-elect Trevor Deere and Colton Hood. As Farm Manager-elect, your duties are to oversee all farm operations, communicate with the advisor and farm committee members about daily tasks and operations.
Ashton Vandekopp, Morgan Meyer. As student advisor-elect, your duties include assisting and maintaining a well-spirited officer team so that it can serve the members to its best of its abilities. It is also your duty to step in for a missing or absent constitutional officer. You may bring a bright smile and a positive attitude to the chapter officer team.
Your new sentinel, Ethan Peterson. As Sentinel-elect, your duties include welcoming our friends, caring for the meeting rooms and FFA equipment, and providing for the comfort of our members and guests. It also is your duty to assist in conducting meetings and ceremonies. Congrats, Ethan.
As historian, Alexandria Flores. Historian-elect, your duty is to inform the public about the FFA. You are expected to work closely with the news media, including state and national FFA publications. You should assist in keeping a record of photographs and articles published concerning the FFA and its members. As reporter, Eliora Enriquez. Your next officer duty is to inform the public about the FFA. You are expected to work closely with the news media, including state and national FFA publications. You should keep a record of photographs and articles published concerning the FFA and its members.
to keep an accurate record of receipts and disbursement, responsibility to assist in developing the chapter budget and maintaining the sound financial practices. Congratulations. Your new secretary, McKenna Hoyer. McKenna, as secretary-elect, you have been chosen to keep an accurate minutes of our meetings and to carry on the chapter correspondence. You should provide the chapter with the order of business and committee assignments for each meeting. You will also keep a list of members, a record of degrees awarded, and have custody of the Constitution and bylaws. Congratulations.
Your new vice president is Chase Stevens. As vice president-elect, your record of accomplishments indicates you have those qualities of leadership which we all possess. You are to assist the president in directing the work of our chapter, preside over meetings in his or her absence, and keep all committees working efficiently.
Your new president-elect is Hayden Spooner. You have been selected by your fellow members to be the leader of our chapter for the coming year. You are therefore responsible for guiding our chapter in all working undertakings. May you work intelligently and seriously to fulfill the responsibilities of your office. It is an honor to be an officer of the FFA. From time to time during the year, you may encounter difficult problems, but through our cooperation, hard work, and dedication, you will succeed and the FFA will prosper. Do each of you accept the responsibilities of your office, and will you do your best to uphold the ideals and principles of the FFA? If so, answer, we do.
I now declare each of you properly and duly installed in your respective office in which you were elected. May your year of service be marked by integrity, dedication, and cooperative spirit. Seek harmony among your fellow officers and set high standards of leadership goals for the FFA chapter members. Retiring seniors and officers, please come up on stage and remove your jackets one last time. Don't worry, we'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in congratulating the 2022-2023 Central Lyon FFA officers. Kylie will now present our year in review slideshow.
Spring is almost over and the summer's come and the days are getting long. Waited all winter for the time to be right, just to take you along. Baby, get ready. And it don't matter if we're sick forever and the fish don't bite. Jump in a river and cool ourselves from the heat of the night. Baby, get ready. Ooh, you and me go fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river in the full moonlight, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow. Staying the whole night through, feels so good to be with you and me. Going fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river and down by the light, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow. You and me going fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river and down by the light, we'll be falling in love. Lazy yellow moon coming up tonight, shining through the tree. Crickets are singing and lightning bugs are floating on the breeze. Baby, get ready. Across the field where the creek turns back by the old stumble road, I'm gonna take you to a special place that nobody knows. Baby, get ready. Ooh, you and me going fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river in the full moonlight, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow.
Before we adjourn, I would like to thank all of you for your assistance and encouragement throughout the year. Congratulations to all of our members for their wonderful accomplishments. The awards presented tonight represent the commitment and dedication that each member has to promoting the FFA and agriculture. Again, thank you for your support and for attending our banquet. Madam Secretary, do you have a record of any further business which should now be transacted?
Madam President, I have 2 items of business I'd like to announce at this time. If you are an award recipient, please go to the gym following the banquet for pictures. And if you purchased a silent auction item tonight, please see the Friends of the FFA at the collection table in the Commons. Thank you.
Does any member know of any new or unfinished business which should properly come before this meeting? We are about to adjourn this meeting of the Central Lyon FFA chapter. As we mingle with others, let us be diligent in labor, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. Fellow members and guests, join me in a salute to our flag. I now declare this meeting adjourned.
Scottish Achievement Award.